These are the 7 things that have allowed me not only to keep my ADHD in check, but actually thrive. And I just want to share that because I think that these are things that we should be talking about way more often. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Borb, kind of like a burb, but more like a borb. I talk about ADHD, neurodiversity, evolution, biology. I go out in nature and I try to raise awareness on mental health in general. Bro, hold on a second, there's somebody in the house. Okay, it was just the wind. So, some life updates. I officially stopped taking ADHD non-stimulant medication. I am now on my own. I was a bit anxious at first because I thought that I really wouldn't be able to manage without. But here I am, doing great, thriving, moisturized, on my lane. Yas! Today I want to talk to you about my 7 main ways of handling my ADHD and being myself and thriving in a society that wasn't built for this type of brain. So very quickly, I just want to say that, I don't know if you realize, I now have a septum ring. Just wanted to do a real quick shout out to my friend Michaela at Inquish Tattoo and Piercings in Cattolica, Italy, because of her amazing work. She got me and my friend pierced in the most majestic and professional way, healed very nicely, and it was just like amazing, the precision of those skillful hands. So yeah, if you ever pass by Cattolica as a tourist or if you live nearby, then that is it's like your one stop. Also, she tattoos in a whole bunch of different styles, which is quite interesting for a tattoo artist. That being said, my 7 major ways of dealing with ADHD. So number one I would say is forcing myself to clean. Now I know that because of executive dysfunction, this can be one of the most impossible things to do. I have to thank YouTube for giving me the motivation to actually put my phone there, record myself as I try to speed clean, and then make a video about that. Even if most of the time I don't end up including this type of footage in my videos, it's still really useful for me because it really does give me that sense of challenge. Once I can get my environment clean, then I just function so much better. It gives me a lot of joy to wake up to a clean bedroom, and it helps me focus and work. Another really big one that people with ADHD struggle with and that medication can help with is the emotional dysregulation. It's where you have a hard time keeping your emotions under control, and this means extreme happiness, but also the other end of the spectrum, so depression and anxiety. One thing that really has helped me was learning about attachment theory, which is a concept in psychology, and I speak about this in this video. It really helps you understand why and how you relate to other people. This is such a huge part of our lives. We are constantly surrounded by relationships to other people, you know, to colleagues, to a partner, to friends, to your family. Learning if you're rather on the anxious side or on the avoidant side, or perhaps you're a fearful avoidant like me. Learning about those things really helps you to accept yourself, forgive yourself, and heal. I recommend that you take tests online. I put one in the description box to see what your attachment style is, and then from there you can start to, you know, gather information. Another tool to emotionally regulate is to practice meditation, mindfulness, and breathing techniques. I also will be providing some links in the description box. You can try a guided meditation. There are so many of them on YouTube. Meditation before going to sleep, meditation when you wake up to set the intention for the day. Yeah, there's just like a whole bunch of things, and they're not all super long. Sometimes you can do a 5-minute meditation session or a 10-minute one. Mindfulness also really helps me track my emotions and my reactions or overreactions to things. I try to catch myself in the act of reacting, but if I can't, I at least try to come back in my mind to the way that I acted and what I said and why I said it, and try to understand the triggers underneath and kind of like self-validate and self-soothe. And that helps me maintain my calm, and the next time, hopefully, that I encounter a triggering situation, I would already have that knowledge. I do realize that it takes some time, but you can train this skill and you can train to become emotionally intelligent. just being yourself. I know this might sound like really cheap advice, but when it comes to neurodiversity, being yourself takes a lot of courage sometimes, because we end up learning that to be accepted in the society, we must fit in. And so we learn to have these masking mechanisms, which actually drain us. At the end of the day, we have very little energy left. Being authentic means, you know, not masking all of the time, learning to be yourself. And if you are like me and like most ADHD people, as well as autistic, another really important thing is that you can stim in public. So stim comes from the word stimulation, and if you have ADHD or if you suspect you do, you probably have done one of these your entire life. So either holding something in your hands or even in your mouth, like you know, touching your hair, even biting your hair like I do, or just like picking at your skin. This used to be, I mean, I still struggle with that. My whole life I have struggled with this, and I didn't know that it was a form of stimming. I have a lot of acne scars because of this. Picking at your lips and completely ruining them, this is stimming. Instead of like destroying yourself, I highly recommend that you find an object or a fidget spinner or whatever you enjoy like playing with. It really does help you release stress and focus on what people are saying to you actually. At work, I usually take my shoes off. Everybody who knows me accepts this. I never sit still in a chair. I tend to have like my legs up like that. Initially, I was really embarrassed, but I started doing that even in public spaces. Even when I go to the library, I sometimes do that. I don't care anymore. I don't care what people have to say, and this has freed me to truly be myself. And because I'm not focusing on what people are thinking about me, I can actually focus on my work. My diet. Because a few months ago, I hyper-focused on nutrition. I started looking at the ketogenic diet. Personal experience is that after removing all sugar and most carbs from my diet, I mean, sugars are a type of carbs. I just want to be clear on that. So taking out anything that has to do with pasta, rice, you know, potatoes, just carbohydrates, especially the short chain carbohydrates that are very quickly digested, and they create a glycemic peak in the bloodstream. So for like half an hour or 1 hour, you have a lot of sugar in the bloodstream and you are like hyperactive. After you release insulin and you remove that extra sugar from the bloodstream, you have like a down period. You get sleepy, you get brain fog. Like for me, just sugar and carbs, they're just not good for my brain. I mean, I still consume them. I just try to consume them a lot less, and only if I have to do some kind of physical activity afterwards. But for the main part, I eat a lot of vegetables, protein, and fat. I eat fat. Fat is really good for your body and for your brain as a food source. So I will be doing more videos on this because I feel like you guys need to know exactly what I'm talking about before you try this. And again, I absolutely advise that you talk to somebody who has expert knowledge on nutrition. Don't just go doing random experiments on yourself. Taking time for myself. I didn't know that I needed so much time for myself. I always considered myself a more anxious person, kind of needing to be around other people, which is true. But thanks to this project of mine, thanks to YouTube, it requires a lot of effort. Like most of the weekends, I have to decline many invitations, and this has really made me focus on what my priorities are. Before you have an actual project or before you have a family, you don't realize how time is limited. But when you start putting those deadlines on yourself, it helps you understand that you shouldn't be wasting so much time. And I find that people more easily understand that I'm not available, even though I would like to, when I explain to them the reasons why. I mean, you don't have to explain anything, of course, but just saying that you have a YouTube channel and that you have to upload weekly content really helps get the message across, and people won't insist, and they will still, you know, respect you and want to hang out with you. Another huge one for my mental health after I stopped taking medication was regular walks in nature, or just long walks in general, while listening to music or podcasts, or even just nothing at all, just your thoughts. Being out in nature kind of helps me wind down, get in touch with myself, with what really matters. It's like the #1 mistake that people are not doing. And if you can't go out in nature yourself, which I understand may not be the case for everybody, you can still watch a lot of content on YouTube of people actually doing, you know, trekking and hiking. I have some of that content myself. Anyway, moving on. avoiding social media. I took a detox break from Instagram for 7 whole months. I was super happy. I found myself during those months. I came back to Instagram because I am trying to build a wholesome community centered around neurodivergence awareness and mental health. And for that reason, I went back to Instagram, but I still try to refrain from being on my phone 24/7 because it is the #1 factor that just messes up my routine and also my self-confidence. Social media can be helpful. Remember that it's a tool and you should use it, not the other way around. So if you like this video, remember, you know what to do. And if you have more tips about how to handle your ADHD, please share that in the comments. I really want to know. I'll see you next week.